Hey guys, this is Mr. Grice for Algebra 2, Chapter 2.4 Notes, Day 2. Today we're talking about scientific notation. Our learning target today is to be able to write numbers in scientific notation and simplify expressions in scientific notation. Okay? So, we're talking about simplifying expressions involving scientific notation. Now, for multiplication and division, what you need to do is perform the operation on the numbers first. Then we do the properties of the exponents for all base 10s. And always write your answer in scientific notation. On the other side, we're going to talk about addition and subtraction. And that's when we convert the numbers to decimal form first and then add or subtract. So we really have to be paying attention to what the problem tells us to do. Okay? Now, for the first part, it says simplify. There's the bell telling us to begin. Simplify each expression and write the answer in scientific notation. Okay? So, what we have to do is perform the operation with the numbers first. So, we have -2 and 4. I want to multiply -2 times 4, and that gives me -8. Okay? Oh. Now, the next thing we have to do is we have to add the exponents. And 2 plus 3 gives us 5. So my answer is -8 times 10 to the 5th. You always need to ask yourself, is it in proper scientific notation? And if it is, you get to highlight it and say, it's my answer. Poof, just like that. Okay? All right. Part B, number B. Okay? We have to multiply those numbers, and if you don't know that in your head, you go off to the side. Okay? 2.6 times 5, 5 times 6 is 30, 5 times 2 is 10, plus 3, it's 13. We have one number behind the decimal, so we're left with 13. Okay? And 6 plus 4 gives us 10. Now, the last thing you need to ask yourself, is this in proper scientific notation? And it's not. Okay? We need to move the decimal one spot. And if I move it to the left, they need to move it to the right. Okay? So our final answer is 1.3 times 10 to the 11th. All right, C. Once again, we need to multiply the numbers, okay? So we have 3.4 times a -8. So just remember that that negative means your answer is going to be negative. 8 times 4 is 32, and 8 times 3 plus 4, 27.2. So -27.2 times 10, 6 plus 3 gives us 9. Okay? And now, before we go to our final answer, we have to make sure this is in proper scientific notation. Okay? We have to move the decimal to the left, so if I move it to the left, they have to move it to the right. So we have to plus 1, and our final answer is -2.72 times 10 to the 10th. All right, D. So we need to perform the operation. It says 21 divided by 3. Well, 21 divided by 3 is 7. Okay? And then what we do with our exponents is we do the operation. Okay? And we have to subtract from top to bottom. So what that is saying, for those two, that's saying 8 minus 9. Okay? So when we're all done with this, we get 7 times 10, and then 8 minus 9 is negative 1. It's in proper scientific notation, so we don't need to worry about changing anything. Okay. Now remember, this is saying 5 divided by 2. Okay? Notice that the 5 goes inside 5 divided by 2. Okay? And I want the exact answer. 2 goes into 5 2 times. 2 times 2 is 4. So if I want the exact answer, I need to add a 0, bring it down, and 2 goes into 10 5 times. Yay, we did it right. Okay. So we get 2.5. 2.5 times 10, and then we have to do 4 minus negative 3. Okay, and when you do that, you have to click, and that gives you 7. So we get 2.5 times 10 to the 7th. All right, F. Do the correct operation. We have 7.2 goes inside, and we're dividing that by 6. Make sure you bring that decimal spot up. 6 goes into 7 1 times. 1 times 6 is 6. And then 6 goes into 12 2 times. Woohoo! Okay, so we know that 7.2 divided by 6 is 1.2 times 10. And then right here we have to do negative 5 minus negative 9 minus negative 5, which gives us negative 4. And that is now in proper scientific notation. We can put a box around it because we're done. Okay, G. We have to perform the indicated operation. Just know that the 3 goes inside, and we're dividing it by 4. So ask yourselves, how many times does 4 go into 3? It doesn't. You're right, it doesn't. So if it doesn't do that, we have to add a 0. And now you're asking yourself, how many times does 4 go into 30? Well, 4 goes into 30 7 times. And we get 28, and we subtract. And remember, we want the exact answer. So how many times does 4 go into 20? 4 goes into 20 5 times. Yay, we got our 0. Okay, so we get 0.75 times 10. And then right there, we have to do 3 minus 5, which gives us negative 2. Now, is that in proper scientific notation? No. Okay? Because we have to take that decimal and I have to move it to the right. So if I move it to the right, they have to move it to the left. So we subtract 1. And our final answer is 7.5 times 10 to the negative 3rd. All right, H. Okay, the first thing we got to do is to divide. Don't freak out, okay? No math weenies are allowed. The 50.28 goes inside, and we're dividing it by 4. I'm going to bring my decimal up right away so I know where it goes. Now, how many times does 4 go into 5? 1 time. 1 times 4 is 4. Bring down the 0. How many times does 4 go into 10? Twice. 2 times 4 is 8. We get 2. Bring it down. How many times does 4 go into 22? 5 times. 5 times 4 is 20. Subtract. And bring it down. How many times does 4 go into 28? 4 goes into 28 7 times. And when you subtract those, you get 0. So 12.57 times 10. And then negative 5 minus 2 equals negative 7. So before we get to our final answer, we need to put this in proper scientific notation. We need to move it one spot to the left. So if I move it to the left, they move it to the right, which means our final answer is 1.257 times 10 to the negative 6th. Woohoo! There's the front page. All right, let's go ahead and flip it over. Now, over here, oops, there we go. What the directions on the other side said, I don't know why this is going all crazy. It said for addition and subtraction, we have to convert the numbers to decimal form first, and then add or subtract. Now, the reason we do that is because of order of operations. Order of operations say, one, you have to do parentheses first, and guess what, guys? Those are inside parentheses. But also, you have to multiply first, okay? So we need to do that first, and then pay attention to what's inside, okay? So let's take a look. We have 3.19 times 10 to the negative 5th. When we write that out, I know, oh, excuse me, it's a negative, so I have to move it to the left. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, so when I write this out, I had to put 1, 2, 3, 4, and then 3, 1, 9. Okay? Okay, now let's do the next one. Once again, it's negative, so I have to move it 1 and then 4 zeros. So 1, 2, 3, 4. And now I have it all set up to add. Okay? Now, make sure everything lines up. That's the hardest part with the decimals. And if you have a number that doesn't have one, you can add that 0 in. Okay? So let's go ahead and add up. 9 plus 0 is 9. 1 plus 2 is 3. 3 plus 9 is 12. Carry the 1. And then the rest, 1, 2, all zeros. Okay? Now our final answer needs to be in scientific notation. So I move it 1, 2, 3, 4 spots to the right. So that means they need to move it 4 spots to the left. So we get 1.239 times 10 to the negative 4th. All right, J. Once again, we have to convert them first, perform the indicated operation. This time it's subtraction. And let's go. So it's a -3, so I have to move it to the left. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. Okay, my next one, once again, to the left 3 times. So 1, 2, 3. Okay, and now all we have to do is subtract. 8 minus 2, 6. 8 minus 4 is 4. And we get 0.0046. And now the next thing we have to do is to write it in proper scientific notation. I move it 3 spots to the right, which means they're going to move it 3 spots to the left. So we get -3. Okay. -1 means we have to move it 1 spot to the left. So we have 2.815. And we are subtracting. Ooh, look at this. 10 to the first, well, 10 to the first is actually 1. So when we rewrite this, all we have to do, I'm going to make sure I write that it's negative. We don't have to change anything, okay? Now, but when we subtract a negative, what are we really doing? You're adding, okay? And then, since we don't have all the numbers lined up, you can add a 0. And let's go ahead. 5 plus 0 is 5. 1 plus 9 is 10. 1 plus 8 plus 2 is 11. 1 plus 2 plus 6 is 9. So writing our answer in scientific notation, well, we don't have to move anything. Okay? So that means it's 10 to the 0. All right, L. Let's go ahead. Write these numbers in proper scientific notation. Just pay attention because it's positive. That means if here's my decimal, I have to move it 2 spots to the right. So this number is really 200. Okay. 9.7, once again, it's a positive 2, so I have to move it 2 spots. And we are adding. Okay. 0, 7, 11. So when we write that answer, I have to move it 1, 2, 3 spots to the left. So that means they have to move it 3 spots to the right. Okay? All right. Hopefully that wasn't too fast for you, but now what you guys need to do is we have 4 problems down here, and I want you guys to try them all on your own. Okay? So go ahead and pause the video, and good luck. Okay, and there you go. Now, if you need help with any of those, please come find Ms. Carranza and myself. That's why we get paid the big bucks, to help you out. Otherwise, that's going to be it for Algebra 2.4 Notes, Day 2. Thanks for watching.